Introduction. Entering the Speaking Wizard World. Welcome to the Speaking Wizard, the all-inclusive guide in entering the magical world of public speaking. If you were to tell me a couple of years ago that public speaking was magical, I'd laugh at you. What the heck is this guy smoking? And this early? But nowadays, if you were to ask me which phrase I'd associate with public speaking, the very first thing would be magical. No lie. But why the sudden change? The sudden change came via experience. My story with speaking. I grew up as a very talkative kid in my village of Bangladesh. I was known as the village monkey, mainly because I wouldn't shut the heck up and was always jumping around and playing. However, the village that I grew up in was dangerous and infested with crime. Therefore, my family felt it was best that we moved to the United States. This was a big transition to make. But going from the East to the West was no longer a choice. Coming to the U.S. was tough, not because of the environment, but because of the culture. I was mocked relentlessly for my heavy accent, and that made it difficult to find friends. What did this cause? It caused a transition from being the village monkey to being the shy foreign kid. For years, I struggled with confidence and was not able to build social circles. This led to a lot of lost opportunities. One of the toughest feelings is knowing that you know something. However, you are not going to get the opportunity because you are too shy to speak up. I saw charismatic people who knew less surpassing me in all areas of life. It seemed the fate of being an awkward, shy foreign engineer was set. Until all that changed. What happened? Well, what happened was that I was introduced to a club called Toastmasters. Initially, I thought the club was regarding breakfast. And can you blame me? It has the word toast in it. But later on, I realized it was a club for public speaking. My first encounter with this club was a disaster. I ended up being caught off guard and getting called on stage to give a table topics, the impromptu speech section of the club. Results? Choking a speech in front of a bunch of familiar faces. On that day, I felt that my life was always going to be one of the shy kid. And that's when I quit public speaking altogether. Time elapses. Until a few months had passed and I decided that quitting was not an option. During my span of quitting, I had nightmares, felt even more unconfident, and dealt with a tragic loss of a family member. All those dark feelings gave me perspective on why I should not quit. It was mandatory at this point to figure out public speaking and help others when I did. After going back to Toastmasters, I never looked back. Slow and steady does not only win the race. Slow and steady leads to exponential progress. And that's exactly how my journey with public speaking went. I went from the village monkey to the shy foreign kid to Armani Talks. Immersing myself in public speaking after that choke job allowed me to rediscover my voice. Since then, I went on to give 50-plus speeches, spoke in audiences of hundreds of people, was a speaker in conferences, participated in speech competitions, and became the external vice president of my Toastmasters Club. It's been a magical journey, and I wish to share that with you. All the insights in this book are highly practical. You will learn about why public speaking is more important than ever, speech anxiety, how to create a speech, deliver a speech with swag, and you'll also be given a bonus chapter on Toastmasters. This journey is going to be beautiful because public speaking is one of those skill sets that does not discriminate. You can be black, white, girl, man, tall, short, etc. Public speaking is an art form that we all deserve to become Picasso in. This is a world of magic when you realize that you had the power all along. Speech anxiety was an illusion, bud. Let's reconfigure your perception regarding public speaking. Your speaking wizard is eagerly waiting to rise. Armani Talks. Part 1. Why Public Speaking? Why public speaking is more important than ever. It's the information age, Armani. Why should I bother learning public speaking? This may be the golden question of the year. Why even bother? When we feel fear, one of the main things is to try to legitimize it. Humans process information with the emotions first, and then try to logic with it. We believe that we are such logical creatures. That isn't true. We are emotional to the core. Therefore, when we feel a fear, the emotions spark up. And from there, justifications are made regarding whether the fear needs to be tackled. If you were to tell me, you don't technically need to learn public speaking. You can just be one of those individuals who becomes a great writer or can talk behind a camera behind the comfort of your own home. Oh, for real? Then why should I learn, bro? Because you can. That's the main reason why you should learn public speaking. Because you can. Before the information age, the game of public speaking was way different. Different how? In terms of information and technology. Let's break down both parts. Information. A couple of decades ago, learning about public speaking would have been exceedingly difficult. Sure, there were some classes on it, and you could ask people for advice. But when you have speech anxiety, you often want to seek the knowledge alone. You may not want others to be aware that you fear public speaking. That's the beauty of the era that we live in. Public speaking knowledge is all around us. It can be accessed via the internet if you ask the right questions, or you can just study this book. But to take it a level further, you can now tap into different parts of the world when speeches are happening. There are so many videos on YouTube regarding best man speeches, for example. When I had to give a best man speech at my brother's wedding, simply knowing that there were individuals before me who had the similar situation gave me inspiration. In the writing world, good writers are good readers. In the speaking world, good speakers are good viewers. You have so much information regarding different speech tactics and videos that our previous generations were not used to. Isn't it best to apply it? Technology. Another benefit that our era has is technology. Aristotle would have laughed at you if you said that he could replay his speeches back later on to see what he did right and what he did wrong. That would have been considered magic, or voodoo. But in today's era, it's laughable to think that you cannot record and replay your speeches back later. Our technology is not to be demonized, it is meant to be weaponized. The thing is, the masses run away from the challenge. Rather than using the information and technology to conquer the number one fear on the planet, they do the opposite. They hide further behind their screens. I don't want to burst your bubble, but everyone will have to give a speech at one point or another. Everyone? Yes. Just imagine if you have a best friend who is currently dating a girl. He's about to pop the question. And voila, he does pop the question. Who do you think will be giving the best man speech? Their dog? Fool. No, it will be you. Sure, you can make an excuse, but it may damage the social bond. In cases like this, it's best to suck it up and deliver the speech. Plus, if you think you can give a speech via Skype, then keep dreaming. Not going to happen, buddy. Public speaking is one of those skill sets that will never go away. Sort of like how paperback books will never go away. An avid reader takes pride in their bookshelf and wouldn't trade it in for a series of PDFs. While most of the world is running away from the challenge, be different. Run towards it. If you are shy, then you, of all people, need to pick up this skill set. When you conquer speech anxiety, you conquer social anxiety in the process. If you can talk to 50 people with grace, then talking to 5 people feels like light work. As the digital era rises, there are going to be a handful of people who are actively investing in this skill set. They learn, they practice, and they refine. Once you take care of the speech anxiety part, which we will be discussing in part 2, you start getting a thrill that the dopest show on Netflix would never have been able to give you. All good. Public speaking is more important than ever because others have written it off. Others are running away. But we are well equipped in this generation to maximize the art of the word, and that we will. Benefits of public speaking. To ever fully invest in a skill, you must learn what is in it for you. Once you realize the benefits, you want to do the task rather than being forced into it. Your mindset goes from, I have to give a speech, to, I get to give a speech. Public speaking is designed to increase your confidence. I don't want to be more confident, said no one ever. Confidence is something that we are all striving for. We often undermine our own confidence and over-amplify someone else's. Let me tell you the truth. No one is fully confident. It is a lifelong journey to keep on improving our internal self-worth to ourselves. That's because each chapter in life allows us to level up if we welcome the opportunity. Well, public speaking will level you up in many facets. Let's talk about a couple of the benefits you can expect. 1. Improved body language. The 7-38-55 rule from Dr. Albert Mehrabian states that for personal communication, the impact levels come down to 7% on the words, 38% on the tonality, 55% on body language. For me personally, I consider tonality to be part of body language. Even though you cannot see the voice, it is still physical. So imagine that. 93% of personal communication comes down to the body. That's incredible. Luckily, public speaking helps you develop a more confident body language. It may not feel like this at first, as you are working out of the speech anxiety. But with practice, you will notice yourself feeling more composed. After a handful of speeches, you'll notice strong eye contact, a warmer voice, and less fidgety body movement. 2. Conquering social anxiety. If you break down most of your anxieties, you'll notice that it deals with people for the most part. Us humans are not afraid of failing. Humans are afraid of being judged for failing. And who are we being judged by? Other humans. The fear of judgment is so strong that it sparks our social anxiety and causes us to avoid a lot of big events. Avoid enough big events, and you'll begin to grow jaded towards opportunities. The beauty about conquering speech anxiety is that you conquer social anxiety as well. When you can speak in front of 50 people with grace, talking to 5 becomes much easier. And those 5 will get a much more powerful version of you. 3. Enhance confidence. Earlier, I was talking about how everyone wants to be more confident. Most of our life decisions come down to improving our self-image. Well, what is a better way to improve your self-image than conquering the number one fear on the planet? Courage is something that makes you feel proud. And you know deep inside when you showed courage and when you acted like a coward. We may be able to fool others, but we cannot fool our subconscious mind. Emotions are a part of us like our eyeballs. When you know in the depth of your core that you committed to conquering speech anxiety and you did it, Well, that's when courage falls out. With courage comes confidence. 4. Enhance persuasion. Persuasion is all around us. Whether you are trying to get a cute girl's number or you are trying to close a transaction for your e-commerce business. Public speaking aids in your persuasion because you are performing one mini communication. One mini communication is when you serve as the central information of knowledge during your speech. All eyes are on you. The speaker who is confident often influences perceptions at a rapid rate due to showing guts while being on stage. Us humans have brains that are lazy. It likes to short-circuit decisions, so it does not have to overthink. This is the brain's way of evolving to leave us enough energy to focus on other tasks. Well, a brain that sees a confident speaker on stage short-circuits to viewing the speaker as competent. When you give speeches, it's easier to persuade and get your call to action taken care of. 5. Less fear of a potential speech. When I used to have massive speech anxiety, a lot of my thoughts were clouded with, oh no, what if I get called on stage to speak one day? Others will know that I'm a fraud. I kid you not. But these thoughts would come when I was just chilling and having a good time, completely ruining my mood. Also, when I see people get asked to be a best man for someone's speech, here is the life cycle. 1. They feel ecstatic that from everyone on the planet, they were asked to be the best man. 2. They feel annoyed that from everyone on the planet, they were asked to be the best man. 3. Speech anxiety ensues. Well, when you conquer speech anxiety, you are not afraid of these big moments. You are more poised to pick up these moments and tackle it like a G. These are just 5 of many benefits out there when you start practicing public speaking. A few of the benefits are confidence, enhanced persuasion, and an improved social life. Humans are spending so much money to tackle the 3 benefits that I just mentioned. Only if they knew that the solution was free. You don't have to shell out thousands of dollars. Speaking wizard mentality is all that you need. Public speaking is art and a magic pill for many of your life's issues. The Speaking Wizard Mindset. From the very beginning, I want you to have the right why. Having a why is strong and will showcase how much commitment you will show when things are not going your way. My why is that I want to conquer speech anxiety. Nope, not big enough. Wait, for real? That seems very bold to me. But it's not, my friend. That's because your goal is finite. If you commit to public speaking, you will notice that your speech anxiety starts melting away around speech 5 to 7. The nerves are not fully gone, but it's mitigated to a point where you no longer consider it a threat. If your why is to conquer speech anxiety, then around speech 5 to 7, you will have hit your goal. Then what? Exactly. In the traditional sense, the public speaker sets finite goals, but finite goals do not serve that grand why. Sure, it can help you reach certain benchmarks, but a personality shift at your being level? Nah. Plus, when you set a goal like that, you give up on public speaking sooner. I've seen many individuals during my time in Toastmasters join, give a few speeches, overcome their nerves, and quit. Public speaking is like any other skill out there. If you quit, your neural pathways weaken and your skill dissipates. The goal is to always keep your blade sharp. The speaking wizard is different. They understand that this public speaking thing is not going to go away, nor do they want it to. What is the speaking wizard's why? They want to begin a lifelong journey towards becoming better. They are beginning a lifelong journey to compete with their prior day self. Growth or bust is their mantra. So, using public speaking as a lifelong journey to become more confident is a much better why than just wanting to conquer speech anxiety? Yes. Public speaking, or any communication skills for that matter, is code for self-improvement or leveling up. And if you are into sports, then you will love it over time. Why? Because Father Time favors you. There is a famous basketball analyst known as Charles Barkley. And whenever he sees a basketball player refusing to retire, despite showing aging, he says, Father Time does not discriminate against anyone. When he says this to basketball players, he implies that these players will get old. Their bodies will age, and eventually, they need to hang it up. That's true when you perform with your body in certain sports. But with public speaking, you perform with the mind. And when you perform with the mind, you only stop improving when you die. What does a public speaker talk about? They talk about their own unique life. Our life is made up of our interests, experiences, and expertise. As we mature, we evolve our interests, experiences, and expertise, which means that we have lifelong content if we commit to the sport of public speaking. This is one of those sports where you are a solo athlete. It's you working in the coliseum of the audience. Words are your weapon of choice. The speaking wizard embraces every speech because this allows them to get better. So, before you commit to this journey, make sure you solidify your why. Personalize it, word it via your voice, and keep it close to you. If you want to enter the magical world of public speaking, then you need to keep going for your perception to widen. Till then, you'll be wearing blinders. Don't quit so soon. Keep going and going until you break barriers you never dreamt of. That kid who used to be shy now looks forward to speaking to hundreds of people with grace. The eyeballs follow the moves of this speaker. The audience wonders how this speaker became so charismatic. But the speaker knows that it began with a commitment to a lifelong journey. A commitment that is now manifested into stage presence, confidence, and an abundance of opportunities. Part 2. Speech Anxiety. The number one fear on the planet. I always found it strange that public speaking was the number one fear on the planet. How could anything be ahead of the fear of cockroaches? I joke. It was Jerry Seinfeld who made a joke somewhere along the lines of, "So, the fear of public speaking is ahead of the fear of death, huh?" That means, if you go to a funeral, then the person giving the eulogy is worse off than the person in the casket. Who said jokes couldn't teach you about life? Because that joke was a mic drop. It puts into perspective how surreal it is that speech anxiety ranks ahead of death. Why though? The reason speech anxiety sucks is because it has the word anxiety in it. Let's break down this word. The subconscious mind dictates 95% of a human's life. The subconscious mind is what I call the database. It stores all the information via your life and stores it. The language of the subconscious mind is via pictures and feelings. Pictures are imagination. Feelings are what you perceive as your emotions. The conscious mind is your critical thinking mind. It is the mind that you are using to read these words right now. When your conscious mind and subconscious mind are aligned, you get peace. When your conscious mind and subconscious mind are misaligned, you get anxiety. which is why you can logically explain why you should not feel nervous for your speech. It's just a 10-minute talk. You're a subject matter expert. No need to feel nerves. I'm sure the audience will be kind. Blah, blah, blah. You keep trying to logic with the feelings that you are experiencing. And why isn't it working? Because, remember what I said? The subconscious mind speaks the language of emotions and pictures. It does not speak with logic. When we have speech anxiety, we try to logic with it too much. And when logic does not work, we feel terrified. Logic works in school and my job project. Why not now, we think. When we think this enough times, the fear of speech anxiety begins to surpass death. Because when you die, you die. When you are giving a speech and doing a poor job, the feeling is ongoing. Plus, there is an aftermath as well. A combination of the ongoing plus aftermath scenario makes speech anxiety a force to be reckoned with. If you are learning skateboarding, you can do it solo. But when you give a live speech, you are doing it in front of people. Communication skills require guts because people are an essential part of it, and you have to be okay with embarrassing yourself. I don't tell you all of this to scare you. I say all of this so you understand the proper frameworks that creates the fear. When things are fuzzy for your mind, it often leans towards negativity. Why not positivity? Because of the negativity bias. The negativity bias is when your brain prioritizes negative scenarios over positive scenarios. This happens due to primal conditioning. Our ancient ancestors had more incentive to be on the alert for a potential threat rather than acknowledging the great day that they were having. Our environments have evolved from our ancestors' time, but yet we carry a lot of the old school hardware. This chapter is important to understand because we are breaking down why speech anxiety is born. When you understand the why, you provide the brain with frameworks. The more you know, the less you fear, champ. Luckily, our brains are malleable. You don't have to hold onto the old school hardware that our ancient ancestors had. The negativity bias plagues us, but gratitude rewires the negativity bias of the brain. More on gratitude in Chapter 5. Public speaking is a skill. Therefore, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. If you can just internalize the line above, then you can acknowledge the speech anxiety that you have without letting it destruct you. When you do not expect something, you get rattled. When you expect something and embrace for it, you maintain composure. Reasons for speech anxiety. So public speaking is the #1 fear in the world. One thing I am curious about is why we don't have more education on it growing up. It's like we are just expected to figure it out. Anytime I ask people what kind of public speaking training they had in formal education, they say something like, "Well, I had this one speech class in undergrad, but that was about it." Ha, that's nothing. Expecting someone to figure out public speaking without giving them proper frameworks is equivalent to giving someone a car and telling them to drive when they have never stepped foot behind the driver's wheel. It's silly. Here, you will learn a few reasons why you have speech anxiety in more detail. Finding that you are not alone in this journey gives you hope. Often, when we go through anxiety, our ego causes us to separate ourselves. It says, "Everyone else is a good speaker, why aren't you?" And if we listen to the ego, it'll be harsher next time. In this list, you'll learn a few reasons why you feel the way that you do. Lack of education. The school system in the West has a lot of John D. Rockefeller's influence in it. John was a mega businessman during the Industrial Age. And during the Industrial Age, a successful business required great workers plus great machines. It was the workers who would work on these machines. When John was playing a role on the modern school system, it was designed to create great workers. Raise your hand, follow procedures, and take exams to prove you know the material. As time passed on, the school system had a lot of subjects like math, science, history, but minimal to none on public speaking. This is a theory, but I believe that was the intention. Good workers are meant to follow orders. However, great communicators are meant to question flaws and use their voice. A worker who uses their voice too much is a nuisance for the business's bottom line and needs to be cut. That's the theory of why I believe we lack education regarding public speaking. When you don't know something, the negativity bias of your brain causes you to fear the energy fluxes. This is a new event. Anytime you are doing something new, you feel more nerves. This isn't anything strange. It is the norm. When you were first learning to drive a car, a part of you may have felt nervous. What about the day before you were about to start a new year during high school? I'd be very nervous about the people in my class, teachers, and the experiences. Likewise, the same patterns happen in public speaking. We aren't often being asked to speak in front of a large audience where we have so many eyeballs staring at us. On a routine day, we have one-to-one conversations and some group dialogue. That's it. Therefore, public speaking registers as a new event to your database, which causes you to feel those nerves. You think you look ugly. A big part of communication quirks come down to thinking that you look ugly while speaking. This may be one of the reasons why we have social anxiety. Well, us humans have this psychological phenomenon known as the illusion of transparency. The illusion of transparency is when we think our internal nerves are leaking out to the public. When we feel nervous, we feel like others can tell and are judging us. But notice the name, my friend. It's called illusion of transparency for a reason. It's all in your head. You place too much importance on yourself. The ego likes to overvalue its importance. When the ego is untamed, our mind feels like a loose cannon. One of the effects of an untamed ego is the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is when we feel like there is an imaginary spotlight over us. In terms of public speaking, there is a spotlight because we are the speaker. However, our ego starts wondering, what if you mess up? Everyone will keep thinking about you. That's pretty silly. Our audience members have problems too. They don't have the time to spend all day thinking about you. We have all seen someone slip and fall before. Well, did we spend our entire day thinking about the person? No. We had a good laugh and went about our day. So, even if you hypothetically choke, you are not going to be in the audience's mind for too long. Their minds are wired to think predominantly about themselves and those who have threatened them. You confuse thoughts as reality. The average human has 30,000 plus thoughts a day. One of the biggest mistakes we make is when we confuse our thoughts as reality. Our thoughts may feel real to us, but it is not. To illustrate this, let's do a quick exercise. Sure. Imagine a purple chicken. Take all the time that you need. After some time, you will notice yourself seeing the purple chicken, and part of it will seem very real. But the question is it real? Of course not. You are just making eye contact with the impossible. and that's a cool superpower of the imagination. When we lack a creative outlet, aka hobby, our imagination does not have direction. It doesn't imagine cool stuff like the purple chicken. Instead, it takes time to imagine our failures. All you need to realize is that the thoughts are not necessarily real. Meditation helps a ton with this. If you can spend 5 minutes every day in a quiet spot, focusing on your breath, this will help. You will naturally lose focus of your breath and go to a thought. The goal is to make yourself aware and gently come back to the breath. After doing this daily for a couple of weeks, you learn to detach yourself from the thoughts. Once you detach from the thoughts, your awareness can dictate which thoughts are valuable and which thoughts are valueless. You focus too much on being perfect. There's a psychological phenomena out there known as the pratfall effect. And the pratfall effect states that humans like humans who act like humans. Humans are cool with flaws. Not only are they cool with flaws, they enjoy it. I do not mean character flaws like stealing, bullying, and lying, but I'm talking about if you have an occasional filler word in your speech. Mistakes do not kill you, bud. It helps you amplify your presence. Think about your best friends. Have you ever wondered what's the difference between your friends and acquaintances? Well, one of the main differences is that you have seen more of your friend's flaws. This allowed you to strengthen the social bond. Talk to someone's adult side to build an acquaintance. Talk to someone's child side to build a friend. You are trying to be perfect when you have speech anxiety. But perfection was never the goal. Being real was. What if choking does happen? For me, this was the biggest fear regarding public speaking. My speech anxiety centered a lot around this. A part of me would wonder, what if I do all this practicing to only get on stage and choke? Well, this fear was a fear until it became reality. For my first meeting in Toastmasters, I ended up choking a speech in the club meeting hosted in my school. I choked in front of a lot of familiar faces. Was I embarrassed? Sure. But over time, I learned that I got the worst part over with. If I said even 5 words the next time, then I did better than my first speech. What's also funny is that you'll notice a lot of other speakers began with a choke job as well. All good. I am going to give you a few frameworks on Part 4 to avoid the choke job. Even if it does happen, though, just understand that it's not the end of the world. You think the audience wants you to fail. During my time public speaking, I never have seen someone get booed off stage. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, though. What I'm saying is that it's not as common as you would think. It's one of those fears that our ego creates for us. But let's say you are not thinking thoughts of getting booed. Still, there is a part of you that thinks the audience wants you to fail. Now, why would they want that? To be real, I've noticed the exact opposite. I've seen a few speakers get super nervous on stage to a point where their voice was shaky and all over the place. That's when the audience sprung up and encouraged the speaker with their body language. The audience members gave gentle smiles and head nods to indicate to the speaker, "Go on, we are listening." You had to be there in those moments. Touches your heart. It's like us humans deep inside want others to succeed when we see someone suffering. The mainstream tries to push hate mentality. But on a core level, we are love. Hate is the dirt on top of the plate that needs to be scraped off. Speech anxiety equals primal Red Bull. Whatever the case is, we go through speech anxiety for a multitude of reasons. Being able to spot what may be your sparking fear helps a ton when you are looking to rewire your speech anxiety. The nerves are not your enemy. They are actually your best friend. Those nerves are Red Bull to the soul. When you can reframe the speech anxiety, you realize you have all the energy needed to give a fire speech. Let's talk about how to reframe speech anxiety. How to reframe speech anxiety. Is speech anxiety your friend or foe? What kind of question is that, Armani? Foe? Not so fast. Speech anxiety is nature's way of telling you to wake up. It is nature saying, "Look, champ, you are about to tackle a big challenge right now. Let me provide you some energy." But that's not how we view it. To understand how to reframe speech anxiety, we need some understanding on emotional intelligence. Emotion equals perception plus feeling. The feelings are energy. Its change of movements within our body creates a flux, and the feeling often influences perception. The perception is the judgment we make via our senses. In terms of taming speech anxiety, we need to make the feelings and perception align. Anxiety and excitement. Are the two emotions really that different? Let me give you two scenarios. Scenario 1. How do you feel when you are on the tip of a 500-foot roller coaster that is about to plummet any second, leading to 50 turns on the ride? My heart is beating fast. Mouth is dry, palms are sweaty, and have butterflies in the stomach. And how do you view that feeling? I am excited. Scenario 2. How do you feel when you are about to get called on stage in front of 500 people? My heart is beating fast, mouth is dry, palms are sweaty, and have butterflies in the stomach. And how do you view that feeling? I am anxious. Aha. Overall, the physical sensations of excitement and anxiety are pretty much identical. Only thing is that our perceptions are different. For the roller coaster, we perceive an exciting situation. For the speech, we perceive a terrifying situation. One way to learn to control the perception is to get to the root cause. An emotional intelligence trick is to clarify the ambiguity. Often, you will feel nervous just for the sake of feeling nervous. During those times, if you can write in one line what is making you nervous, you'll notice the nerves melt. Why does this happen? It's because you clarified the ambiguity. So, let's do that with speech anxiety. Clarifying speech anxiety. When do you get speech anxiety? During the speech. That is not accurate. Anxiety often implies that you are feeling the sensations for an upcoming event. You ever had that moment when you were feeling very socially anxious about an upcoming networking event? But when you finally went to the event, you were like, "That had me so nervous?" Yeah, I had a lot of moments like that, to be honest. Well, it's the same thing for speech anxiety. You don't feel the most speech anxiety during the speech. You feel the most speech anxiety leading up to the speech. When you make this realization, you have an epiphany. How so? Well, the main reason you are feeling anxious is due to the fear of failing in front of others. When we realize that our worst anxiety is leading up to the speech, when others aren't watching us, our perception slowly begins to modify. That means your worst speech anxiety is no longer a foe. It's actually a potential friend, because it is battle testing you for the speech. And you feel the most energy internally leading up to the speech when no one is around, champ. When you are in the comfort of your own home. When we go to the gym, we don't lift weights that don't give us any tension. Otherwise, it's better to stay home. We lift weights, which force us to grow and challenge ourselves. Well, nature is giving you the speech anxiety to challenge yourself leading up to the speech. You are meant to use this energy in order to battle test yourself for the speech. Practice with the strong feeling of sensations within you. Feel the tension and overcome it like a G. What you'll notice is that the speech anxiety gives you a real-life simulation of what to expect. During the speech day, you feel like you have gotten the worst part over with. The same nerves are there, but it does not bother you as much. The perception towards the nerves are slowly becoming more welcoming. What the masses do is that they feel the speech anxiety and automatically go in distraction mode. They start drinking, smoking weed, and partying nonstop. What I'm telling you to do is to feel the energy and practice with it. That's how you change your perception from anxious to excitement. Leveraging the right words. To hit the hammer on the nail, begin calling it speech excitement rather than speech anxiety. Words are perception programmers. Use words like tools for the mind. Language is the finest technology out there. Recap. So, just a little recap of the key ideas regarding speech anxiety. Anxiety and excitement are almost identical feelings with different perceptions. In order to influence your perception, you must bring clarity to it. In terms of speech anxiety, you do not feel the most tension during the speech, you feel it leading up to the speech. Therefore, use that energy while you are practicing your speech to battle test yourself. The more you can familiarize yourself with this energy, the less you fear it, and the more you embrace it. To cap it off, begin identifying this energy as speech excitement rather than speech anxiety. Follow this, and you'll begin to reframe your perception regarding speech anxiety. You will see that nature was trying to provide you the magic potion all along. The speaking wizard uses that potion to level up to new heights. Part 3. Creating a speech. Information gathering. A speech is a series of ideas that are structured in a way that is meaningful to the audience. Therefore, in public speaking, there are two main parties: the speaker, you, the audience. These two parties are what create the magical world of speech building. Your goal is to provide value to the audience. If you did that, then you did a good job. How do I provide value? You provide value by targeting their human desires and getting them closer to it. Let me explain. There are 5 core human desires out there, and those are the desires to learn, feel, bond, defend, protect. The reason public speaking is so beautiful is that you can hit any of these core desires if you are creative enough. But before hitting those core desires, it's in good practice to know what kind of audience you will be speaking to. If you are a keynote speaker at an event or have to speak in some kind of conference, then it's a solid strategy to find out a general theme of who will be in the audience. Most events traditionally have a host or event coordinators. See if you can extract some information about the general theme of the audience. The reason I say general is so you can throw a wide net in the beginning. If you automatically go in for being super specific, then you may miss out on some crucial information. Go from general to specific. Example: instead of automatically jumping to the age range of the audience, work your way up to it. Ask something like, is there a certain type of audience I can expect? Host: well, most of them will be entrepreneurs. You: dope. Any particular age range? Host: Most will be in their 20s. You. Great info. Just curious, do you know if most will be men or women? Host. That I don't know. But do you see what you did there? You were able to go from a minimal understanding of the audience to at least knowing that they are entrepreneurs in their 20s. That's huge. Sometimes you don't even need to do the information gathering part. If you were going to be speaking at a high school graduation, then I'd think you'd have enough clues there. Target audience, high school students. This helps because now you know how to provide value to the audience. Once again, the 5 human desires come to learn, feel, bond, defend, protect. So if you are speaking at a homeowners meeting, then give a presentation on how the homeowners can protect their home from burglary, if you are well versed on that topic. Which desires are you targeting with that speech? Well, I am teaching them how to protect themselves. So I am tackling the desires to learn and desire to protect. Correct. Edutainment equals the gift that keeps giving. At times, the host and event coordinator may have no clue who is expected to be at the event, and you have no clue yourself. Then what do? In this case, your edutainment becomes a great weapon. If you have no clue what kind of audience to expect, then storytelling via the edutainment route is huge. Edutainment equals education plus entertainment. Education is the topic that you are teaching about. And normally in stories, the education is the lesson that the story was trying to demonstrate. The entertainment aspect is the feeling that you are trying to generate in the human. Possible feelings to experiment from: humor, sadness, inspiration. The key to a memorable speech is making the audience feel 1 to 2 emotions. If you were able to do that, then you spoke to their subconscious mind. Great job, champ. And if you have no clue how to generate feelings like humor, sadness, inspiration, etc., then just focus on teaching them something new. Humans feel a strong sensation in their chest when they learn something new that is important to their lives. That's how your words penetrate into their minds and hearts. Edutainment is when you teach without them even knowing. You hit the learning desire, you hit the feeling desire. All with just words. I told you, public speaking was magic. What do I talk about? Isn't it funny that when we talk to our best friend, we never worry about what to talk about? But when it comes to meeting a stranger, that is when we start thinking a lot. When we talk to our friend, the process of dialogue feels tension-free. But when we are talking to a stranger, the dialogue is tension-full. This is a similar phenomenon in the world of public speaking. Sure, we speak all the time, but very rarely do we do it in front of a live audience. Since we are doing a new task, this will cause us to use our thinking faculties more. Sort of like the difference between driving on a road that we always drive on versus driving on a new road that is an unfamiliar location with jagged streets. Sure, it's still driving, but the context is different. From the very get-go, I want to give you a sense of understanding that will make your public speaking journey much easier. You are the star of the show. I don't say this in a motivational sense, but I say this more so in terms of a practical sense. Enthusiasm is a currency in the public speaking world. And enthusiasm is something that is born from our main experiences. You can be talking about straight nonsense at times, but if you are enthusiastic, the crowd will want to listen to you. Enthusiasm also combats speech anxiety as well. You feel like you are doing the other person a favor for teaching them about the concepts that you genuinely love. You feel like you're letting them in on a secret. Public speaking laws. What you think matters. Words and grammar, making them think, making them like you, focusing on being perfect. What really matters. Enthusiasm, making them think and feel, seeing if you like them, focusing on providing value. So in the beginning stages, you will have a lot of surface-level understanding. When your understanding is surface level, you are externally dependent. When you start to gain more knowledge, your focus starts bringing you within. Once again, a lot of this may seem motivational, but it isn't. Public speaking will get you more in touch with your spiritual side or sense of a higher purpose. The more speech experience that you gather, you realize that you literally embody the question, what do I talk about? When you start realizing that you are the main content piece for your speech topics, that is when your paradigm starts shifting. Now, do not get me wrong. I am not telling you to only talk about yourself, but I'm telling you to talk about your understanding. True understanding makes technical speeches easier. As a practicing engineer for many years, I had to lead a lot of technical presentations in my roles. Sometimes, the topics were so stale and dry that it was difficult to get enthusiastic about it. Yet still, I knew that my speech centers around me. If I just collected a bunch of facts and data, then that wouldn't be a true speech. It would just be a recitation of facts and data. For the most part, my rule is to understand the subject so well that you don't even consider needing index cards. That's like someone saying it's cool for you to use index cards while talking about your childhood. You'd think, for what? I lived my childhood. Therefore, even if you are dealing with technical subjects, you need to get to a point where you understand your topic on a personal level. One of the technical presentations I had to talk about was PowerShell. PowerShell is a scripting language to automate certain tasks. This seemed very boring to me, yet I had to give a presentation to the new interns on the significance of PowerShell for the company. From there, I learned PowerShell on a very intimate level. I envisioned how this can serve practical use in terms of my life, not the company's. So, after learning more about PowerShell, I thought about how cool it would be if I created a robot down the line who could handle busy work in my house. PowerShell, used correctly, can automate some of that busy work, and then you can gain your time back. From there, I personalized the use of the scripting language, and that is when I was able to understand the subject. When I delivered the talk, it was from my subjective experience rather than the objective facts. Objective science and subjective science. Objective science is when we are trying to uncover the truths of the external world without any personal biases. Subjective science is when we are delving into the internal world to understand ourselves. In the last section, we were talking about how you are the main character of your public speaking world, and having that knowledge will allow you to have tons of content for speech material. But I do want to clarify one main point that you will have to use your judgment on. Leading with the internal world is not an excuse to excuse facts. And at times, you need to put your ego aside in order to relay the proper message to the audience. You'll soon begin to realize that the speaking wizard is a dynamic speaker, not a static speaker. The difference between a dynamic and a static speaker is that the dynamic speaker is able to pick up the context before designing the content, and the static speaker will just follow pre-existing habits. There is nothing magical about just following pre-existing habits. That's just routine. At times, you will have a highly technical presentation where you need to dial down your subjective world to focus more on the objective world. But do not equate the objective world with boring. If that's the only way you view objective science, then you will be doomed to dry facts. Sort of like that CEO who pops up every now and then for an end-of-year meeting, boring their workers with a bunch of forecasts. This CEO is heavily focused on the objective side to a point where they are not explaining what these objective details mean to the audience. Showing a graph of a forecasting is not enough. It doesn't speak to the other human's subjective side. Even when you are giving a highly objective related speech, guess what? What? You still have to speak to the audience's subjective side. That is what creates the speaking wizard. A speaking wizard can turn the most mundane of topics into one that is interesting to people who want to get to the heart of the topic. This is also why a lot of CEOs are partnering up with screenwriters. The CEOs want to learn how to take the objective forecasting numbers and make it significant to the subjective world of their employees. I keep bringing up the subjective world because this is huge in terms of creating your speech. We like to take the subjectivity out of things, but when we do, we risk our message not being heard. Humans are not logical as we think. I don't care how technical your speech is, or how many charts you think it needs to get the data across. Ultimately, you still need to speak to the audience's subjective side. Understand this section because it will make your public speaking journey easier. You can say all the details in the world, but until you give the audience a reason to care, then your speech is falling on deaf ears, bud. You need to make them care by speaking to their core desires. How to properly brainstorm. There are a very few number of things that I recall having a ton of practical value from school into the real world. But you know what sticks out? What? Brainstorming. Brainstorming is when you give the power to your mind to be free to just generate ideas. In order to properly brainstorm, you need to do two things. 1, you need to set aside time for it. 2, no idea is a stupid idea. Let's go through each one. 1, you need to set aside time for it. I call creativity structured chaos. If everything is just a mess, then you do not have creativity, you have a mess. The reason setting aside time helps is because you are targeting your mind to be loose. Without the timer, your mind will try to brainstorm for 1 second. Then it will go to the emails that you need to answer. Then it will go to the ticket you need to pay, etc. The mind will wander if you let it. Discipline it by setting aside time solely to brainstorm and be creative. 2, no idea is a stupid idea. This is huge. Your speech has not been created yet. So, at this point, anything is fair game. Just take the time to let your mind flow and write down any idea that flows within your mind. Up until this point, you primed your mind for the type of audience you will have and a rough idea of your speech. That's all you need to let your brainstorming session begin. You can write down your ideas or just keep it in your mind. If you are a beginner, I recommend you write your ideas down via hand or typing. You will be able to brainstorm later simply with the use of your mind, but work your way up to that. The brainstorming elements gives you a certain sense of your speech. It's still very blurry. All good. In the beginning of your speech creation, your speech is supposed to be blurry. The purpose of the brainstorming session is to create that blur rather than just having an empty canvas. 3 elements of a speech. The 3 elements of a speech are the opener, middle, end. Wow, so complex, right? Haha, I'm just kidding. But just knowing that there are 3 elements allows you to organize your data into unique segments. It allows you to compartmentalize the ideas from the brainstorm session. Let's go through each of the segments and talk about the purpose. Opener. The main purpose of the opener is grabbing the audience's attention and priming their minds for your speech. A lot of bodies will physically be there, sure. But are they mentally there? Not quite. They are mentally with their problems, bills, worries, etc. The purpose of your opener is to wake them up and bring them into your kingdom. The main parts of an opener are: get their attention and let them know what your speech is about. Let's use the example of a speech where the main idea is regarding why dogs are better than cats. A few great ways to open are: provide a shocking statistic that relates to your speech. Are you guys aware that a staggering 87% of dog owners are happier than cat owners? Raise your hand if you like dogs better than cats. Remind me to buy you a drink after the speech. Joke. I used to have a cat until I woke up one morning and realized that I don't want to be crazy anymore. Story. Surprisingly, your story doesn't have to just be for the middle of the speech. If you can tell a mini tale that can capture the audience's attention in the beginning, then go for it. A story mainly needs a character, conflict, and lesson. For the longest time, I used to be a cat guy. Until one day after a breakup, I noticed how cold my cat was. I decided it was time to see what a dog being a man's best friend was all about. That night, I put up my cat for adoption, and I picked up a dog. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share 5 lessons that I learned from that. Those are a few elements of how to capture the audience's attention. Once you opened, capture their attention, now it's up to ya to just let them know what to expect. If your friend just tells you to get in the car without telling you where you're going to go, then it will feel weird. But if your friend says, "Hey, I'm going to Walmart, want to come with?" Now you feel much better. That's because your friend got rid of the ambiguity. So in a nutshell, opener gets the attention, plus gives a preview of what the speech is about. Middle. This is the portion of the speech that I like to call the patty to the buns. This is what the main part of your speech is about. And if you did your brainstorming in the last section, you will have a better idea of how to structure this part. Truth be told, it seems overly complex, but it's not that complex. It comes down to some simplicity. Middle structuring. Main point 1, supporting details 1, supporting details 2. Transition. Main point 2, supporting details 1, supporting details 2, transition. Main point 3, supporting details 1, supporting details 2. Depending on your speech, you can add however many main points you want to. I normally try to stick to 2 to 3 to not overwhelm the audience. You need one big idea, and then you segment that idea. So, let's go back to the example of why dogs are better than cats. Main idea 1. Cats aren't as friendly. Share story of yourself on your experience of cats and dogs. Share story of your family once you swapped a cat for a dog. Transition. Now that you understand how my family has enjoyed our experience, what about we talk about the general public? Main idea 2. Health statistics of pet owners. Men who have dogs over cats are blank % healthier. Women who have dogs over cats are blank and healthier. You get the point. I am giving you a very surface-level example, just so you pick up the main concepts. One way I want you to visualize the middle of the speech is via a tree. A tree? Yep, a tree. A tree has one main trunk, and it has a bunch of branches. Along those branches, there are leaves as well. Well, the analogies go like, the main trunk is your big idea. What is your speech about? The branches are your main points to support the big idea. The leaves are your subpoints to support the main points. Ending. The ending is pretty much you summarizing everything that you have been talking about and a call to action, optional. Refresh the audience's mind. You have thus far been taking them on a journey. So, let them know how far they have come so they appreciate the journey that you have taken them on. This part shouldn't be too difficult since you got the opener and middle out of the way. Summarize your speech, and you can cap it off with a quote or call to action. Call to action example. Now that you understand why dogs are better than cats, I urge you to go home and look for a local dog to adopt. Overall, you'll notice that these 3 frameworks allow for a lot of creativity. A quick little recap. Opener. Gets attention and gives a preview of what to expect. Middle. Breaks down one big idea with main points and subpoints. End. Summarize the speech and give a call to action. From this, you have the ability to experiment. At this point, your speech may be very vague, and that's fine. During the practicing session, you are able to solidify your speech and make it real. In the planning stage, you just want a high-level overview of what to expect. Get generalized concepts of your beginning, middle, and end. Now it's time to practice. Part 4. Practicing a speech. Practicing a speech from home. When we think public speaking, we think of a task that is surrounded by a boatload of people. But want to know a secret? Most of public speaking happens solo. The few stages of public speaking include 1. Creating the speech, 2. Practicing the speech, 3. Fine-tuning the speech, 4. Delivering the speech. From 1 to 3, you are solo, unless you are getting feedback from an evaluator. For 4, you are around people when delivering your speech. The great news about this is that you can practice public speaking from the comfort of your own home. All you need is you plus a feedback system. A feedback system? That sounds scary. Not really. It's just a platform that allows you to see yourself. There are 2 types of feedback systems out there: mirror, camera. You can speak in front of either one of these feedback systems. In terms of practicing, I like the camera more than the mirror. The mirror makes you more of a thinker. You are trying to focus on how you look and deliver the speech. Sure, this allows you to adjust your moves quicker, but the only problem is that you are trying to do 2 things at once: speaking and analyzing body language. The camera is my choice because it allows you to just focus on speaking when you're in speaking mode. And then, when you watch it back, you are simply in analyzing mode. No multitasking and dividing up your brain bandwidth. So, in order to practice from home, you need yourself and a feedback system, mirror plus camera. Those are the tools. With that being said, why is a feedback system important? It's important because it allows you to iron out your body language. A large reason that you have speech anxiety is because you think that you look ugly while speaking. When you can see yourself, a lot of your doubt begins to melt away. During the practice session, this is where you are polishing up your speech. In the last section, we talked about how to create your speech. We talked about brainstorming and formatting your speech with an opener, middle, and end. But during the last chapter, we said that your speech was not solidified. Instead, it seemed very blurry. In the practicing section, you are meant to take the speech from blurry to crystal clear. Get rid of words which do not move your big idea forward. If certain concepts need to be added, then add them. Move around ideas as you see fit. You will notice that your speech is getting more polished on each take. You don't have to recite your speech verbatim like a robot. Just keep your mind primed for the big ideas. Around this section, you can decide whether or not you need index cards. But the way that I recommend practicing is to practice in a way where if your index cards were lost on the day of your speech, you'll still be good. Make yourself independent. Go through the speech until it goes from blurry to crystal clear. In this section, you are refining the content of your talk and recording or using a mirror. Body language. As a beginner speaker, you need 3 key elements of the body to pack a punch. Everything else is an add-on that you can implement as you continue to level up in your craft. The 3 elements are what I call the Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity: hand gestures, face gestures, tonality. Often, there are speakers that try to do too much. Their hands are all over the place. They try to speak with different tonalities, walking all around stage. Overall talk is very sloppy. The main thing you want to realize is that less is way more. As a beginner speaker, you just need the Holy Trinity. Let's go through each segment of the Holy Trinity, and we will follow those up with the additional moves you can also implement. Hand gestures. The hands showcase your confidence to the world. And the beauty about the hands are that they are a work of art. Humans feel comfortable when they can see your palms. What not to do with your hands. Do not tuck them in your pockets. Do not point. Very sharp movement that is in poor taste when overdone. Do not interlock them behind your back. For the most part, your hands should be on your sides. When you want to use the palms, picture a box line across your torso. Keep most of your hand gestures within that box with open palms. When you're ready to make a big point, you can't escape that box. Keeping your hand gestures in the general space in front of your torso allows you to have polished moves that is pleasing to the eye. Face gestures. You hate public speaking when you think that you are speaking to a crowd. You love public speaking when you are just having one-on-one conversations. If you can understand this concept, most of your face gestures will take care of itself. When you think you are talking to a big audience, you have what we call the stone face, a blank face with fear in your eyes. As a beginner speaker, you just need to talk to 3 people. One person from the left, middle, and right side of the room. When you talk to those people, everyone surrounding that person will also think that you are talking to them. The face gestures feel different when you are just having a dialogue. You are more relaxed. Plus, your eyes are now locking and holding rather than scanning. Scanning is when you are trying to look at every pair of eyes in the crowd, giving low-quality eye holds. Locking and holding is when you spot your target and speak right to them. Face gestures come down to having a dialogue. Tonality. Tonality follows the pace of having a conversation as well. You will notice that when you are trying to talk to a group, your voice becomes very spread out. It's like you become an announcer, versus when you are speaking to one person at a time. I don't want to give you too much tips on how to handle your voice, because that is your musical instrument. All I can tell you is that the voice is directly connected with the mind. When you are calm and relaxed, your voice has a calmer flow. The voice is made up of 4 components: actuator, breath; vocal cords; resonator, mouth; articulators, lips and tongue. The breath gets the whole system of your voice started. So just talk to one person at a time, and you'll feel more relaxed. The Holy Trinity are all the dynamic components, meaning that they are subject to change. If your hand gestures, face gestures, and tonality were the same for the entire speech, then your overall talk would be boring. Those 3 elements are dynamic and meant to be modified. Keep practicing those 3 elements to see how you feel. Static body parts. Just like how there are elements of your body that are dynamic, there are also elements which are static, meaning they do not change. What are those parts? Your posture. Your posture should be straight with your chest out. Say it with your chest. But seriously, imagine that you are about to pick up a $1 billion check. You'll notice that you spring up and your posture skyrockets. You become big. See if you can hold that big position as you give your speech. Keep practicing that posture until it becomes muscle memory. Your breath will flow with such beauty. When you're slouching, your lungs become 75% less effective. Less effective lungs lead to choppy breaths. Choppy breaths lead to choppy thoughts. Choppy thoughts equal anxiety. Keep your posture big. Bonus move: walking the stage. Walking the stage is a more intermediate to advanced move. You do not have to do it if you are a beginner. But if you feel ready to, then at least plan out your moves. One of the most basic frameworks to get started is to project a triangle across the stage and walk to each point as you transition throughout your speech. No need to make it more complicated than that. Evaluation. Thus far in the practicing session, you have been solidifying the content of your speech, recording yourself, and watching your delivery back. We said in the creating portion of your speech, your content is blurry. As you begin practicing, your goal is to turn the blurry speech into a clear one. Then, we talked about how you need a feedback system when practicing at home. You can use a mirror or a camera. I said the camera is more effective because it allows you to speak and then evaluate your delivery, rather than combining the two like you would have to do with a mirror. Plus, with a camera, you can review your recordings later. What am I evaluating again? You are evaluating the content of your speech and your delivery. For your delivery, check out your body language. The body language has dynamic and static components. Dynamic equals Holy Trinity, the face gestures, hand gestures, and tonality. Static equals posture. Evaluate to see how you look as you are giving the speech, from content to body language. When you watch yourself back, do it with a logical eye and pay attention to the details. Often, speakers ask a friend to evaluate their speech too. If you feel the need to do so, then I won't stop you. But do your best to find one of your tell-it-like-it-is friends. Getting a nice guy to evaluate your speech seems all cool, but overall, they won't say anything real. Get someone who you know can point out certain quirks or deficiencies. Don't take it personally. Even the greatest speakers get evaluations. And let's say their evaluations ain't always pretty. If you do not want to get others involved, then all good. Evaluate it yourself. This is a good time to watch other public speakers so you can build your public speaking database. A few great people to watch are comedians, storytellers, religious spiritual leaders delivering a talk. No need to mimic them. Just observe their Holy Trinity, face and hand gestures, tonality, and their posture. See how they walk the stage. All this data will give you more insights when evaluating your speech. The speech evaluation part seems boring as heck for some. Others find it to be the most fun part. Whichever boat you fall in, get the job done, bud. Tom Brady, Manny Pacquiao, LeBron watch their film back. Heck, they would say it's one of the most important parts. Therefore, you need to watch your film back too. Keep doing it until you fall in love with the process. 5 times rule. Thanks, bro. So, I'll clarify my speech and polish up my body language. But question, how long do I practice for? Great question. So, there is a thing called overpracticing in the public speaking world. And when you overpractice, you start reciting the speech verbatim. It comes off robotic. There is a certain time to cut off practice and just chill. The main intent I set out is the 5 times rule. The 5 times rule is when you get through the speech 5 times to perfection. Whenever you mess up, start over. And when I mean 5 times to perfection, I do not mean reciting the words verbatim. I mean going through the concepts of the speech without slipping. You'll see that each time you practice, your words may have some minor changes. However, you know that you are tackling through your opener, middle, and ender. The big idea is constantly being pushed forward. And here is the tough part. If you stumble, forget a point, lose focus, etc., start over. I don't care if it's the last 2 lines of your speech. If you mess up, start over. This seems like a pain in the butt, but this is a framework. You can now begin your practicing journey with an intention, rather than under-practicing or over-practicing. 5 times rule creates a lot of speaking wizards. When you can get through the speech 5 times to perfection, content and delivery-wise, then the speech is in your subconscious mind. On the day of your speech, your trained instincts will overpower nerves as long as you keep your breath slow and relaxed. When you hit the 5 times rule, I want you to just chill and relax. Learn what it means to relax. You put in the work. Now, associate positive feelings with the speech. When you are over-practicing, you are just conditioning more nerves into the speech, making you more panicked. No need. You fought through your bursts of speech anxiety, created a speech, practiced it, hit the 5 times rule. Champ, you're evolving before my very eyes. Visualization and body meditation. These are bonus practice activities that I always like to toss in. I like visualizing and doing body meditations. After you have given a lot of speeches, you will notice you take visualization and body meditation more seriously. When you are a beginner, you may not see too much value in it. All good. I recommend reading this section anyways, so you at least understand what they are and the importance down the line. Visualization. Visualization is when you prime your mind to think a certain way. Our mind is often going from thought to thought, and we confuse it with visualization. Not true. Mind wandering, thoughts with no intention. Visualization, thoughts with intention. Negative visualization, When you visualize, it does not always have to be positive. You can prime yourself to be dealing with a tough crowd and rising above anyways. So just in case you do deal with a tough crowd on speech day, you are not remotely fazed. 10 times visualization. Another trick is to 10 times the audience. If you are going to be speaking in front of 100 people, then visualize yourself speaking in front of 1,000 people. This allows you to tackle the beast in your mind. If you need help, Google a picture of 1,000 people and imagine talking in front of them. If you have a projector, then put that image on the projector and talk. Whatever suits you. You need to win twice before you win once. Once in your mind, once in reality. Visualization is a skill. In the beginning of your journey, you may feel like you have other things to worry about, like practicing the speech. All good. But I urge you to start warming up your visualization. Muscle with increments by holding images that you set the intention of holding. Body meditation. Body meditation is when you sit with the energy within in your body. You'll notice, as you feel speech anxiety, your mouth gets dry, eyes feel watery, your body feels warm. Often, we react to this. We get scared of these feelings and go straight to the bottle. What I recommend is to put the distractions aside. Sit with the feelings. There's something beautiful about sitting with dark feelings. Like what? Well, when you sit with dark feelings, it actually turns out to be very therapeutic. You take the negative perceptions out of those feelings and feel it for what it was all along. Energy. Body meditations allows you to control your nerves and makes you more emotionally intelligent. You'll notice this exercise does not just help you with public speaking. It helps you with life. Dark feelings are all around you. If you can prime your body to sit with those feelings and enjoy the therapeutic effects, you start to have much more control of your perception. Part 5, Speech Day Etiquette. The Big Day. Well, bud, you made it this far, and I just want to let you know that you are going to do big things. As much as it may not seem like it now, you have gotten through the toughest part. The speech is meant to be fun. A part of you may not think this to be the case, but one day you will. If you stick with this long enough, I guarantee you will associate positive, fun feelings with public speaking. But now that you have made it this far, let's wrap you up and make sure you take care of business. You're going to learn about the impact of your speech outfit, what to eat, and a few reminders right before you are about to get on stage. Let's get it. Impact of the speech outfit. Whether you are aware of it or not, our clothes have a huge impact on our psyche. And not only our psyche, but the psyche of the audience as well. Imagine you are wearing basketball shorts with a white t-shirt that has a mustard stain on it, hair messy, socks with holes in it. Oh, did I mention you are about to go on a date? No way, bro. I don't want to look like that. Exactly. I obviously gave you an extreme example, but you are starting to see what I mean. Now imagine you just hopped out of the shower, wore a custom-fit suit, polished shoes, a beautiful scented cologne, with your hair combed. Let's not forget the tie clip. Fresh as heck, and you know you feel good. This is the impact that clothes have on your psyche. But take it a level further. When you dress up, you instantly gain some rapport with the audience. The audience thinks, well, who is this fellow? Looks like they put some thought behind their outfit. Looks like this speaker takes the audience seriously. You may think this is superficial, but it's true. I've seen plenty of times when a speaker was stumbling, but the audience was quick to forgive them because they looked so sharp. Humans are visual creatures. A picture may speak 1,000 words, but motions speak infinite words. When they see you up live and you are looking like a respectable brand, they will respect you for it. Which is why you want to make sure you take your speech outfit very seriously. Do not be one of those people who think it's a minor detail, that it is like prepping for a bike race for months and then showing up with a rusty bike on the day of the competition. No bueno. For your clothes, pick it out the night before and iron it. Just knowing that you do not have to worry about your wardrobe on speech day takes a lot off your mind. If you are not good with fashion, then ask someone who is good or use resources like Google, Pinterest, Instagram. Not only should the clothes look nice, it needs to feel nice. Comfort is a massive key. I included comfort after looking nice, because I know someone will be like, Armani said comfort first. That means looking good is not necessary. Looking good is primary, because you can still be comfortable while looking good. Just make sure your clothes fit well on you. If the collar, pants, or shirt are too tight, ditch it and find something else. Same with shoes. If your shoes are too small or too big, ditch it. Comfort really comes down to getting the right clothes that fit. Just ask yourself if you can speak in it for 10 hours. Although your speech probably will not be for that long, simply asking this question gets you thinking correctly. Look great, feel great, and Houston, we got a winner. Fire. What to eat? On speech day, everyone has different eating preferences. Before telling you what to consume, let me tell you what not to consume. Avoid greasy meals or a bunch of caffeine. You'll notice on the day of your speech, you may feel pretty lethargic if your nerves are heavy. This may cause your mouth to feel very dry, you feel low energy, eyes weigh a bunch, and you may want to run for the coffee. But wait, there's more. Another part of you wants to eat a big, heavy meal. Whenever we feel tired, we often lose discipline. Ask anyone you know that is in shape, and they will tell you they binge eat whatever when they are feeling tired. But drinking too much coffee and eating a heavy, greasy meal are big mistakes. It feels good while you are doing it, but feels bad when you are on the speech stage. A greasy meal makes your stomach feel heavy, and this hurts your ability to project your voice. This has you feeling like you are pulling a car up a mountain. Each word is being pushed out rather than flowing out. And too much coffee has you still feeling tired, while your voice is jumpy and all over the place. If you had a quivering voice naturally in the beginning of the speech, it is made worse with coffee. So, avoid the greasy meal, reward yourself after the speech if you want, and with coffee, sip if needed rather than chug. What to consume? Now the question is, what should you eat? I recommend in terms of drinks, just stick with water. Water allows you to feel clear, even if you are tired. You notice the water is melting away the dry mouth, and you are gaining energy back. Drink water based on comfort. Do not just gorge on water, because you'll have to keep peeing then. For the food part, that depends. I recommend the traditional healthy food like chicken, salmon, vegetables, and all that. What do you eat? When I do eat, I eat mainly fruit. That's my particular taste. What do you mean when you eat? Well, as of late, I go to a speech hungry. I call it fasted speeches. This allows me to have more energy. On those days, I drink a lot of water, though. I do not recommend fasted speeches for everyone. It is something that you need to understand your body for. Meanwhile, find whole foods. Whole? Yes, foods with very little on the ingredient list. Eat those and do not overdo it. You should leave enough room in your stomach to eat more if you needed. Being 75% full is a sweet spot to go to the speech with energy and deliver with energy. All the data in this section is subjective, based on my experience and the individuals that I have mentored during Toastmasters and the clients that I have worked with. But ultimately, all our bodies are different. So, it is up to you to determine what flows with your energy levels. Right before you get on stage, you've prepared, put in the work, and invested a ton into the journey of the speaking wizard, my friend. Now, you can tell that you are next up on stage. The host is giving your introduction. A lot must be going through your mind. Random thoughts, strong sensations in the body, the feeling of being watched, etc. But stop. Smile. A comfortable smile that allows you to feel peace. The smile that you have when you are chilling at the beach after a long day at work. The sun is setting, and you feel the calm breeze across your face. That smile. So gentle, yet so powerful. That smile will release endorphins in your brain. Endorphins are feel-good chemicals that allow you to feel more coherent within. You come back to the present. Strong body language. Accompany that smile with a nice, strong body language. You're picking up a billion-dollar check. You are the CEO of a galaxy. You're a magician with words. Make your body big. The big body will allow you to slow your breath down. A slow breath is a silent breath. A silent breath is a peaceful breath. Even though you should be feeling stressed, you are not. A combination of the smile, big body language, and a relaxed breath has you feeling at ease, bud. When the host calls your name, you know you put in the work. The audience sees you walking up confidently on stage. They can tell that you put thought behind your outfit. Your strong body language and calm smile puts the audience at ease. You get on stage. You no longer see a crowd. You see individuals who just happen to be sitting next to each other. Rather than talking at the crowd, you are about to have one-on-one conversations. Take your time, champ. You are the star of the show. The pace goes by your beat. You are in the Coliseum. Go take what is yours. Showtime. Gratitude. Once your speech is done, you will feel a sigh of relief. Whether you did well or you didn't think you did well, whatever the case is, I want you to take some time to acknowledge that you gave a speech. This is big in terms of your confidence, whether you are aware of it or not. The bricks are our wins. The acknowledgement is the cement. The bricks without acknowledgement mean nothing. The bricks with acknowledgement builds a tower full of confidence. The number one fear on the planet. And you took a stab at it. This is the first of many, my friend. Gratitude allows you to rewire your perception over time. Every time you are grateful, you take a deeper look within. For the longest time, we were trying to get satisfaction from the outside. But each time we are grateful, we realize we've always had more than enough. Each speech is a win in the magical world of public speaking. Even if your delivery was off, or you felt like you could have done more, just acknowledge you got on stage in the first place to talk in front of an audience. You did what many are terrified to do. That's power. Your journey will continue to get more fulfilling. The beauty? You carry all the lessons you learned over to the next speech. That's when you realize that in the world of public speaking, Father Time doesn't work against you. Father Time works for you. Work with your mind. You're magic with words like a wizard. Conclusion. Speaking Wizard World. The journey of public speaking is a journey we never had to take. But when we decide to take it anyways, that shows a different level of courage. The public speaking path is the modern-day hero's journey. You never know how your path will go, the people that you inspire, and the way that your perception evolves. Words are the most profound technology ever created by mankind. The beauty? There was no one founder. Instead, it was something that was a group effort from humans, which is why you want to leverage these words. The dope part is that there are no rules for how you can use the words. You can shift them however you desire. You can morph your voice however you desire. The message? Have fun with that too. Public speaking is magical because there was a method behind the madness this entire time. The only reason speech anxiety ranks in front of death is because it was never taught. You have the frameworks in this book to dominate your next speech. But don't just stop there. Create your own frameworks. Experiment with what works for you and what you can do best without. Teach others who suffer from speech anxiety once you have conquered the beast yourself. You are a wizard once it comes to words, bud. Unlock the inner magic that lies within you. The world awaits to hear the power of your voice. Armani Talks. Bonus: Insights on Toastmasters. What is Toastmasters? Toastmasters is a global public speaking club that aims to create better communicators and leaders. The method that Toastmasters uses to create better communicators is by hosting meetings that consist of planned speeches, impromptu speeches, evaluations, and much more. In this section, let's break down the high-level concepts of Toastmasters. First of all, Toastmasters has a segment called Pathways. Pathways is the part of Toastmasters where you can choose the path that is suitable for you in your journey. You can choose the path of comedy, dynamic leadership, persuasion, etc. The Pathways program is only for paying members. The membership fees depend from club to club. If you are not a paying member, you can still go as a guest. The guest can participate in table topics and vote for the best speakers in the end. What are some of the positions in Toastmasters? Toastmaster. This is the person who hosts the meeting and makes sure it is progressing smoothly. Planned speakers. These are the speakers who will be speaking for the event. They planned ahead of time and are delivering the speech based on their Pathways curriculum. Evaluators. There is an evaluator that is assigned to each speaker. The evaluator tells the speakers about their strengths and areas of improvement. Table Topics Master. This individual creates the topics for the Table Topics section and selects participants. Table Topics is the impromptu speech section of the club meeting. Timer. The timer measures the duration of each speech, evaluation, and table topics to make sure the talks are within the time duration. Grammarian. The grammarian keeps a lookout for proper word uses. Also, each meeting there is a word of the day that we can use sometime during our talk. The grammarian makes notes of those who use the word of the day. Counter. The counter counts the filler words that were used and gives a report around the end of the meeting. These are just a few of the most prominent positions within Toastmasters. I've also seen that different clubs have some different positions as well. One of my clubs had a position called the Quizmaster, who would listen to the speeches and ask questions to the audience around the end. But when I went to another club, I noticed that position was not there. Once the meeting is wrapping up, the audience gets to vote on the best speaker, evaluator, and table topics. After the votes are counted and the winners are chosen, they are given a ribbon. A traditional meeting lasts anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the size of the club. My experience with Toastmasters. My first ever experience with Toastmasters was tough. It was a club where I went in thinking I wouldn't have to participate, but I ended up getting called on stage and bombing the speech. After I went back the second time, My experience was much better because I had gotten the worst part over with. My journey in Toastmasters was a blast and played a big role in my confidence. I went as a guest and worked my way up to a member, mentor, recruitment chair, and external vice president. During my time, I was allowed to join multiple clubs. I was a part of 3 Toastmaster clubs around the same time, which allowed me to get the most out of the experience. I joined one club at work, Suncoast Toastmasters, and Tampa Toastmasters. Practicing in front of 3 different audiences allowed me to build more comfort, and overall it was a fulfilling experience. Other than participating in club meetings, I also participated in 2 speaking competitions as well. They were a blast, and my experience has been positive. Pros and cons of Toastmasters. So, I don't want to be fully biased and say Toastmasters is the perfect club. In my experience, I believe I got a tremendous amount of value. But I will use this section to talk about pros and cons. A lot of the cons were from other individuals that I have interacted with via the club meeting, and one personal one from me. Cons. Sometimes early speakers can be evaluators. Evaluators are some of the most important roles in Toastmasters. And if the club is new, then the members are limited. Often, limited members cause newbies to take up intermediate to expert positions. Some individuals who are evaluators are being put in that position too early. This isn't the standard, though. It mainly happens with new clubs. Overly emotional speeches may beat polished speeches. There was one time I felt like I had the best speech of my Toastmasters journey. I thought I was going to win. But the speaker right after me had something else to say. Her speech overall was pretty choppy, but she ended her speech in tears for a dead loved one. As emotional as the speech was, overall, the delivery was not the best in a few people's eyes. Yet, she won. That can happen sometimes in Toastmasters. Emotional speeches get too much credibility in some clubs. And it's a hard issue to fix because the audience votes. There is not some group of judges. Lack of training. For the most part, you are never sat down and taught public speaking. You are mainly meant to work through the Pathways curriculum, which has tips on speech delivery techniques. Plus, you are also given a mentor who can aid you with questions. Other than that, you have to do self-teaching and adjust based off of your evaluations. Pros. Toastmasters is a brand. You know how you get similar food no matter what kind of McDonald's you go to? Well, it's similar with Toastmasters. When you go to Toastmasters, you realize your club has a similar format as a lot of other clubs. So, when you take a vacation, you can check out the local Toastmasters club and notice a lot of similarities. A part of you feels at home. Great for social connections. The beauty about Toastmasters is that there is a lot of diversity. Entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, etc. may be in attendance. Being in a club with winners allows you to exercise your social skills as long as you are going with the intent of being social. This club is a great way to build your network. Enhanced public speaking. One of the beauty of Toastmasters is that it is designed to give you a platform to speak. Nowadays, speech opportunities may not be abundant for someone who is looking to exercise their speaking. Luckily, Toastmasters has a weekly meeting that allows you to enter and go for the sole reason of improving. There are multiple positions that allow you to get some form of speaking experiences under your belt. Pathways program. When I first started Toastmasters, all of us worked out of the same Competent Communicator book. But later on in the game, the club implemented Pathways. I chose the comedy path, which was new at the time. I think this is dope and allows the public speaking experience to be a dynamic self-improvement activity. Should you join Toastmasters? Honestly, that is only a question that you can answer. I recommend going to a few of the meetings as a guest and then deciding what you think. Once you join, understand that you will get out as much as you put in. On a standard level, you have to drive to the meeting, attend the meeting, and drive back. So, factor in that time. On the weeks you have a speech, you'll notice you need more hours dedicated on your weekday to create and practice a speech. If you are to pick up a leadership position down the line, that will be extra hours. Ultimately, it comes down to how much you want to improve your public speaking. If you are ready to pick up the public speaking skill set and fully commit, then Toastmasters, in my opinion, will be a fantastic club. And if you are not fully committed yet, then take a back burner. Approach the life of public speaking when you feel that burning desire within. You will know when the time is right.